Hey, what is going on, guys? Xavier Caldwell here, and as you can tell by the title, we're going to be predicting a little playoff football. Now, it's the best time of the season. Finally, we're getting to the playoffs. We've been waiting all year. Thank God my Colts made it. I'm very happy. Bills beat the brakes off the Dolphins to get us in there, so I was really hyped to see that the entire game. Thankfully, Kingsbury, left Josh Allen in there for a while to get that lead. And to make sure they still won. Even whenever they threw their backup in, hey, I mean, honestly, I think they scored 2 touchdowns with him. So, the Dolphins, they were kind of pretenders. They didn't deserve to be in there over the Colts. I think most people would agree with that. No hate to the Dolphins. Really well-coached team by Brian Flores. They just really don't have the personnel. And they're in the AFC. I mean, of course, if they opened up the playoffs, of course they deserve to be in it over the football team and the Bears, teams like that. But when it came to the AFC, these 7 teams are undoubtedly the best 7 teams in the AFC, or that these 7 teams are just, Chiefs, Ravens, Titans, Browns, Steelers, Colts, Bills. You go through the AFC, that is the 7 best teams, hands down. But yeah, let's just get right into it here. Ravens, Titans. This is going to be a good one. We're seeing a rematch from last year. The big upset, no one really saw this coming. But I think this one's going to, even though the Titans are ranked 4th now, I think the Ravens are favored, and they are for a reason. I think they will win this game. Now, the reason I say that is because the Titans have no pass rush. They can't disrupt the pocket. That's a big thing that's been beating Lamar Jackson all year, is just the fact that teams have been able to get pressure. He don't have the same offensive line. He has injuries. He's missing Marshall Yanda, people like that. But, the Titans team, Clowney has no sacks. Justin Simmons, he's going to get double teamed. And then the rest of the defensive line is just really nobody's. They got Harold Landry that comes off the edge, that roll down guy, but he's not an elite pass rusher. He's not even, a good pass rusher. He's just kind of above average. And that's not going to cut it against the Ravens offensive line. As bad as they've been this year, they're not horrendous. So whenever they're not playing groups that are going to get constant pressure, they're going to hold up. So I think this Ravens team, I think they're favored. I think they should be heavily favored. And I think they win this game pretty easily, believe it or not, because their defense is going to limit this Titans offense. That's just how it works. They're going to, they got 2 corners that are going to lock down. Marlon Humphrey is a better corner than A.J. Brown as a receiver, and I'll say that any day of the week. He is a beast. He is one of the best corners in this league, hands down. And then they got a guy opposite of him on the other sideline that, that is also a very good corner. I think this defense will give this Titans offense fits. I think it's a perfect match really for the Titans. I think the Ravens were the last team they wanted to play first week or week 1, but here we are, and I think the Ravens take it. Browns Steelers. Now, I picked Steelers last week. That came back to bite me in the butt, but I still think the Steelers are a better team. I think they're a much better team. I think defensively, overall, I mean, their defense is just filthy. Probably the best in the league, hands down. We saw their offense come alive against the Colts, not last week, but the week before in the second half. I think Mike Tomlin's been holding back. I think he's got something up his sleeve. He's a seasoned coach, 2-time Super Bowl champion, or 1 time maybe as head coach. So I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's holding a little bit back for the playoffs. I think this defense will disrupt the Browns' offense like we've seen both games this year. And I think it's going to be a treat to see this game first week. Colts Bills. I'm going to take Colts. Now this might be me being a homer, whatever. You can call me that, whatever you want. But this Bills team, I don't think this is going to be a shootout. I think this Colts defense can kind of contain the Bills offense a little bit. They're really built to big play you. And they're not going to be able to run the ball against this Colts defense. This defensive front is much better than their offensive line. So this is really going to be about, can the Bills find some kind of tempo? Can they, deke and dunk a little bit here and there just to keep this Colts defense off balance? And I don't think that's going to happen. I think this Colts defense is going to disrupt the pocket just enough to get Josh Allen out of whack, get him out of his rhythm, and get him into throwing some mistakes. As we've seen that this year, when Josh Allen's pressured, he will throw balls into windows that will ultimately be intercepted. So, it's just really going to come down to, can this Colts offense be consistent with the ball as well? It's going to be a good game. One way or another, this is going to be a really good game. I just think the Colts have the personnel to really pull this one out against the Bills. Bucs football team, kind of a no-brainer. I think everyone would agree that this is just kind of, it's going to be probably a slaughtering. I mean, honestly, I understand this football team, Washington football team, their defensive line's good. I mean, damn good. Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're really, really good. And I don't know if Matthew Ioannidis is playing or if he's injured. I have to look into that, but he's really good as well. Very strong, 3-tech kind of guy. 3-4 defensive end. So the football team's defensive front seven is really, really good, but that's not what you need to stop the Bucs squad. To stop the Bucs, you need, people that are going to disrupt in the pass game as well. And their secondary is not too good. And when you're going against Antonio Brown and Mike Evans and Godwin, you got to have somebody in that secondary that's going to make a play, going to do something. And I just don't think this football team has that guy. Okay, Rams, Seahawks. Oh, didn't mean to pick the Seahawks. Let me take that away. This is a difficult one. This really is truly a very difficult game to call. I haven't liked the Rams recently. I really haven't. And I'm a big Sean McVay believer. Believe me, I really believe in what Sean McVay teaches. I think that you could really give him anybody on any team, and he's kind of like Belichick. He will find a way to succeed. Now, Belichick this year, he's had bottom of the barrel scrapes, on both sides of the ball, playmaker-wise, except for his secondary defensively. In all groups, like defensive line, linebacker core. His offensive line's been pretty good, though. He has remained consistent with picking offensive linemen. But other than that, he's just had the bottom of the barrel player-wise, and he's really struggled. But, Sean McVay does have a good defense. I mean, obviously, he's got Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. You could argue the two best players at their position in the NFL. And they disrupt. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Aaron Donald against this Seahawks offensive line that is bad, horrible, completely horrendous, is going to get pressure. They're going to make plays. Aaron Donald is going to make plays this game. You could triple team him, but someone on that offensive line is going to give up pressure to somebody because they're just not good. They're not talented. And then defensively for the Seahawks, they've been better recently. As you could see by, some of the Seahawks players saying we have the best defense in the league. That's not true, but they have been better. I'll say that. They've been better. But would I put them top 10? No. Would I put them top 15? Probably still no. So I think you're going to, if you want to beat the Rams, you got to be able to either, one, just completely light the scoreboard up, or two, shut down their offense. And this Seahawks team, because of how good the Rams defense is, I don't think they can light the scoreboard up. And I'm going to be honest with you, they're not going to be able to shut down a Jared Goff-led Rams team. And then to the last game here, Bears-Saints. No brainer. Give me the Saints. What's the recipe for the Bears winning? That's obvious. Not letting Trubisky get pressured. Can you run the ball? That's the two big things, because the Bears' defense is going to make plays. We know that. We know the Bears' defense is going to disrupt this pocket of the Saints. They're going to get to Drew Brees, who's injured, which is a big thing. That's what they need to do. But the difference is the Saints can get tons of pressure. And when you're versing an offensive line that's bottom 5 in the league that the Bears have, they're going to eat up front. Trubisky might get sacked 6-7 times this game. I really wouldn't be surprised. If he got sacked 6 or 7 times this game, it wouldn't take me back at all. I fully expect that. So I think the Saints team is going to be able to ramp up the pressure. I think they're going to really just, feast on Trubisky. Trubisky's going to have a horrible time. I think the Bears are going to draft offensive linemen in this draft. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near a quarterback because of they're probably going to be like pick 19 or something. And that's what they should do. Trubisky, as bad as he's been, he's had some bright spots. He's had, a lot more, a decent amount of bright spots compared to how much credit people give him. And compared to being, I call them bottom 5, but they might be bottom 2 worst offensive lines in the league. I don't remember the statistics, but they're pretty terrible. I mean, it's just awful. Being behind the Bears' offensive line right now is not fun. Ask DJ Montgomery, one of the most talented running backs in the league, who has no help whatsoever. But yeah, that's my picks, guys. Let me know what you all think. Let me know who you think's going to win these games. You can call me a homer for the Colts Bills game. I really don't care. I'm going Colts. You can like it, you can not. I understand that. It's a task. Both teams are really good. Colts are probably the most well-balanced team in this league. If you know personnels, you would probably say that. Maybe the Ravens, but their offensive line's not that good anymore, and their receiving core is really bad. So, it's hard to make an argument against the Colts being the most well-balanced, because from offensive line to receiving core to running back core to defensive line to linebacker core to secondary, they got players at each position. It's just, will they execute? That's the big thing. We've seen a little bit of non-execution from the Colts secondary at times. We've seen a little bit of non-execution from this running back core of the Colts at times. But recently, last game, 250 yards from Jonathan Taylor, that's the Achilles heel of this Bills team. If you look at what beats the Bills this year, it's running the ball. It's moving that ball on the ground. And the Colts can do that. We've seen it the last 5 weeks. They can do that. The Colts are one of the best running teams in the league, even though, over the season statistically they're not that. But the last 5 games, they're top 5, maybe even top 3. So the Bills got their work cut out. Believe it or not, the Bills have their work cut out. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. If you're still listening, I really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate you coming in. If you like the content, drop a like, drop a subscribe. But until next time, guys, peace.